say my biggest challenge is time and how I get very anxious with time and I tend to kind of trip myself out. It's where I start steady, whichever section I do first, whether it's games, LR, reading comp. I am pretty well. And then by the second or third section, I start to panic and it just happens that I get anxious and my anxiety gets the best of me, I would say.
Understood. Yeah, of course. That happens to a lot of folks. When are you taking the LSAT? What's your target test date?
I plan to take the LSAT in June, so June 2021. So I do have time to work on time, and I think that being my biggest struggle, I would try to shoot for doing more time sections. However, my issue is when I do time sections, I even if I give myself maybe 5 minutes extra per 35 minutes, I still am not quite making it, or I don't finish everything.
Sure, sure. I mean, timing's a big struggle on the LSAT. It's not just getting it right, it's getting it right efficiently and in the time allotted. So I'm glad that you're thinking about this, noting it as an area to work on. And I also think it's fine to give yourself an extra 5 minutes or so for now. How many time sections would you say you've done total?
Hmm. I'm not quite sure. I don't think I can quantify that, but I've done about 5 prep tests, and my first 3 prep tests, I just did it with the 35 minutes to see how well I would do, and I found that I would start off getting like the first problems correct, and after time would start running out, and I would see that I spent too much time or more time than I should have on those problems, I wouldn't get to the rest. And I wouldn't get to the rest, or I would just not do as well because I would be seeing the time and it would be scaring me. So, yeah, I think like 5 prep tests, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 5 is a good number to get started and see what the issues might be and where you might want to focus your work. Now, we're speaking now the very beginning of March. You've got approximately 3.5 months till the June LSAT. What level of timing practice do you think you could do between now and test day? Or what do you think you could do to change your approach in terms of maybe drilling some timed sets?
I think I'm going to start doing individual timed sections, but not as a whole, just like maybe LR one day and kind of focus on that, or RC another and focus on that. And I might just start off with 40 minutes as opposed to 35 and slowly make my way down to 35. And if I see that 40 minutes still isn't enough, maybe I'll do 45 minutes and then bring my time down. That was my plan.
That sounds like a good plan to me. And I've actually recommended something similar in the past. So I like that. I like that approach a lot. Now, what else could you do in terms of looking to increase efficiency?
Efficiency. Just probably learn the material better and be able to, yeah, figure out like specific, maybe it's the question type that might be tripping me up, where I can't see a question type and immediately be like, oh, that's a flaw, or oh, that's logical reasoning. I think maybe I need to get a little bit better at familiarity with the whole exam.
Yeah, that could help a lot in each section of the exam to recognize a question stem, to know immediately what it is. For a logic game, efficiency can look a little bit different. Part of it could be recognizing the quote unquote game type, but those categorizations are somewhat artificially imposed. There's a lot more in the way of gray areas between different game types. But
Yeah.
efficiency can come from reusing previous work as much as possible, the previous diagrams you've drawn,
Mm.
and then making more inferences up front. And so I'd be looking at the recordings of the previous games classes and all the live ones coming up each week to see how those games can be solved faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good. I think I'll look at that. Do you have any tips for so the last LSAT that I took, the last just prep, or yeah, um Yeah, it was just like a practice. The last practice LSAT I took, I found myself where if I got, this was mostly for logical reasoning, if I got to a question that confused me, I had a hard time letting that question go in the time allotted, like a minute 25, let's say, per question, and moving on to the next one without having that question in the back of my mind and still trying to like figure it out and understand it, because I knew that I was going to try to come back to it and solve it, but it's hard to completely drop it and move on to the next question after that minute 25 is up.
Yeah, it can be hard. It can be very hard. So I get that. One thing I want to say just at first is you said a minute 25. I just wanted to check, are you ever timing individual questions in logical reasoning?
Not really. I happen to just look at the timer a lot during my sections, so I know that I'm not going over that. So, I mean, I guess that could be timing it, but no, I haven't done any practice where I get questions and I give myself a minute 25.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure of that because, of course, they vary in difficulty. You don't want to time yourself down to that level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also curious that you said that you have the countdown timer going to make sure that you're finishing in the time allotted.
Yes.
But you also said that you're not finishing in the time allotted.
No. Okay. So this is for the LSAC website where they give you the test, and in the top right corner, I believe there's the timer. So I do try to keep my eye on it. However, it really depends. It's mostly for games where I look at it. And then logical reasoning, I'll find myself skewing away from it. I don't know. I think my mind just gets very confused and like it is hard to look at the time, but at the same time, I still try to keep that in mind because it's an issue and it gets the best of me. I don't know.
I hear that. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a really powerful psychological force to have the countdown timer constantly going and have that motion in your field of vision throughout the entire exam. So I'm actually going to recommend that you make it disappear. You can just click that countdown timer and make it vanish until the last 5 minutes of the section.
Mm-hmm.
That might seem strange as a recommendation because you've opened this conversation saying that timing is an issue. Mm-hmm. But I wonder, since you said it could relate to anxiety a bit, it could also relate to efficiency, that it's possible removing it for a bit could help reduce the anxiety because you're not feeling the pressure in your face. Mm-hmm. And you can focus. Of course, you can keep doing 45-minute sections if you want. You can increase your time a little bit to see what that changes for you. And then on the side, look into different ways to increase your familiarity, to increase efficiency, and then bring back the countdown timer later.
I see. Okay. I will try that. Maybe that will help. Yeah, that might help. Maybe it's just a matter of seeing it that's tripping me out. And maybe if it was away, then I could really focus on the material more than the time itself. Not like more than the time, but without seeing it like on the screen and it being in the back of my head and causing me to panic.
It's certainly worth trying. We don't want to do anything that will increase your likelihood of panicking or feeling stressed. I mean, the time pressure is there. It's real, but you also have 3.5 months to work on efficiency, work on familiarity, and have timing in the mix, but it doesn't have to be your only focus.
Right. Okay. All right. And typically, would you say students who maybe would have the same issue as me, I know that sometimes students prefer to just focus on learning the material for like a month straight and then focus on timing, or would you suggest that I try to keep timing at play with my whole like holistic review of everything?
Since you know timing's an issue, I'd want you to keep it in the mix in some way. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the majority of your prep for now, but I'd want you to be doing something timing related every week, if not a couple times a week. But it doesn't need to be 2/3 or 3/4 of your overall studying. Timed sections are important. Timed exams are important. but you're already aware timing's an issue and you're doing things to address it directly.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I know that timing is an issue also because when I take, or if I just am doing my review, after I take an LSAT or after I do like a section, I will do it on time, see how well I do. And majority of the time I'll get most everything right. For logic games, I think I get everything right. Reading comp, it would depend. One or two passage might throw me off, but I'd get like 5 or 10 wrong, not even 10, actually, like 5 wrong. But then timing comes for those 2 sections where I would skip a whole game or I would skip a whole reading comp section. And it doesn't work out for me like that. But yeah, timing is just an issue.
Well, you'll get there. Again, you have time to work on increasing the efficiency such that 3.5 months from now, you don't need to skip an entire game or passage. There are action items, steps you can take to improve your efficiency on all sections. I haven't touched on reading comp yet in this conversation, but I have my weekly classes on reading comp review, deep dives, where we'll spend a lot of time on the passage up front to help you understand how to break it down so that under test day timed conditions, you can get the key takeaways from the passage much more quickly rather than getting bogged down in the details.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. I also want to touch on one other thing you mentioned around getting stuck on individual questions and then not being able to let go of it before you move on to the next one.
Yes.
We had a session last night on meditation and yoga for test anxiety specifically. Did you have the chance to attend that one?
I did. Yes. I found it to be very helpful, actually. Yes.
Awesome. No, I'm really glad to hear that. I love having Kaylin come into the mix every now and then to do those sessions. I think it can really help. And so I'd encourage you to keep that practice going.
Okay.
Ideally every week, if not every day, if possible. I know it can be hard to keep any practice going every single day, but even just a couple of minutes to train your brain to let go and focus on one thing at a time. It could be your breath, or it could be an LSAT question. But once you've completed it, you click to the next. Maybe you close your eyes and take a deep breath, and then you move on.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure, because I have tried a bit meditation, and it's only been like a week that I've been doing it, and I feel like it's significantly improved my concentration. So yes, I will definitely be trying more of that, or throwing it into my everyday mix.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Any other questions for today? Any other challenges you're looking for support on?
No, it was mostly, I would say it was just my timing. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we had the chance to have this chat, and we'll keep adding timing discussions into the mix moving forward in upcoming classes too.
That'd be great. I really appreciate this whole meeting, and I got some great takeaways from it.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear it, and I'll see you in class soon.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.